Alright, everybody, what's up? Gonna get started here with some hobbying in a second. Ooh. Ooh, that's cold. That's nice. Alright, so what we got in the docket today? We've got, as you can see here, a little bit of Death Guard action. I have quite a bit of Death Guard on my backlog. I've collected Death Guard since, I think since 8th edition, when they're part of the starter, the new starter set and all that good stuff. So I'm thinking today I'd like to get through the Deathshroud Bodyguard. I got a set of 3 here. And then somewhere else off camera I've got a Mephitic Blight Hauler and Plague Furnace. That's not what it's called, but that's what I call it. It's the new terrain piece. And if I happen to get through that, which is unlikely, I've got 2 Plagueburst Crawlers that I need to finish assembling. I had 3, and 1's built, and I have 2 unbuilt. If I get through all that tonight, I'd be a shock. I have about like an hour until I lose interest in hobbying, which makes it pretty difficult, as you might imagine, to get much done. But here we are. All right, let me get some light. The light's for me. It's not for you. It's actually going to make it much harder for you to see, I think. But makes it much easier for me to see. What did this? It's the yield plastic. I've really enjoyed building and modeling the Death Guard products from Games Workshop. I think they did a really good job on these sculpts. And I'm not painting these guys tonight, but in terms of the paint scheme, I go with the heavy metal paint scheme. Some modifications just for ease. Probably the biggest modification, instead of the Death Guard green as the base color, I have a spray can of like a probably the closest would be Castellan green from the Citadel line, or maybe Deathworld Forest, somewhere in that neighborhood. Having those colors available helps me blend, but see if I can pop the chat out here. There we go. So I can see it while I can see myself. Alright. Now, I'm doing all of this now because I'm preparing for my first game of 9th edition. I have not played in some time. Now, part of that's my fault. Part of that, I'm just not prioritizing it. Another part of it, and I'd say the bigger part of it, is kids. Busyness. Then beyond that, it's, I kind of alluded to this. I've alluded to this in several of my videos. How the game is today, it's a little rough. It's not as easy. Ironically, it's not as easy as it was in 7th edition. That's saying something, okay? I remember back in 7th edition, I mean, things didn't change very often. But that was when I got into the game. I feel like what was going on then compared to what's going on now, I feel like the game was a lot friendlier to new guys. So that's part of it too. I didn't feel like buying all the books and getting everything ready. But what's inspired me, and I'm going to do a video on this the next few days, Tempest of War mission pack. Took a look at this, watched some guys play it on YouTube, and it reminded me of the good old days. And so, I said, you know what the hell? I will pick this up and I'll play a game and I'll see if it brings me back. And if it does, I'll make a point to play more often. If it doesn't, I'll probably stick to the hobby side for a while. I don't want to spoil that video. I'm working pretty hard on it, but it'll be a good one. All right, so let's get into this. To my knowledge, there aren't many options on how to build these. It's not like the Plague Marines where you had a ton of different weapons choices. I think they only have the one weapon type, those scythes, so we're just going to do this in order. Obviously, you'll want a champion. So I'll build one of the champions and 2 Terminators. Let's get cracking. Alright, got my clippers. Looking for part 36, 31, ooh, I can choose heads types. So we know 31 will be the body. Let's see if I can get this. It's pretty zoomed in. Yeah, that's not helping. I get a better angle here because it's like just an incredible close-up of my hands. But I guess this will have to do. Maybe bring the light up a little bit. Nah, keep her down. Yeah, that's good. Let me know if you can't see it. Alright, so we're clipping out the back torso here. I'd say one of the things I like most about the Death Guard, I like their lore, I like the history, the stories, rather, associated with them. But I also really enjoy, how detailed their sculpts are. Like this is just the beginning of the model. Okay. And already you can see hoses, you can see some decaying metal, you can see exhaust fans. There's so much detail. And the nature of the detail, it's mostly decaying and rotting and putrefaction. And I'm all about that for whatever reason. I've always been all about that. So when this faction came out, I knew I had to get it. Alright, so head choices. I could do this head here. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, right here. That's a human face. It looks kind of human. Or I could go with 33, which is right here. And I'm going to go with this one because I'm just thinking about painting. I'm so bad at faces. So whenever I get a chance, I avoid modeling something with a fleshy face. This guy's got like a hood. He's got his Astartes. Is that a Mark 6 helmet? Mark 5 helmet. He's got some sort of like a eye attachment there, but then he's got a couple of horns protruding. It's going to be pretty easy to paint. And it may have more color, but it's a lot harder to mess up something like this compared to the human flesh. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to cut out number 36, which is the front of the torso, including a tabard. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is really fun. It's kind of a mouth. Where his stomach is a mouth. Like, that's amazing. With a tongue. And you see the steel, the plates on the tabard. You can see the decay. That's the Death Guard. So they're a traitor legion of Space Marines who serves the Chaos God Nurgle. So Nurgle is all about decay, entropy. He's all about despair. disease. Everything with the death card is about that. It's a really such a strong theme. And I think that's what drew me to them initially. Was like, not only did they have a cool story, not only did they have good models, but they just had such a strong theme to base an army around. And they're a lot of fun to paint. They really are. The most fun I've had painting has been the Death Guard. Now, and that's saying something, because I hate painting. Hate's a strong word. I think what I don't like about painting is how easy it is to feel like you've gotten behind on something. And in a hobby, you don't want to feel like you're like behind. You know, when you're having a good time, you want to feel like relaxed and like you don't have so much going on in your life that's stressing you out. So when you have a hobby where you feel like you have a backlog of something, sometimes it's not a great feeling. And painting has always felt that way for me. I've always felt like I'm painting too slow. I'm not getting enough out. So I get discouraged. I'll paint like 3 or 4 models and I'll drop it. And some of you might say, oh yeah, 3 or 4 models, that's not bad. But when you have, an army of 60 to 80 models, 3 or 4 doesn't get you very much. So right now I'm just trimming some of the mold lines, which, to their credit, GW's done a good job on these newer sculpts of hiding them. And some of the flashing where I clipped it from the sprue. You don't have to go overboard with this. Most of the time people don't notice it. And especially with Nurgle, it's easy to make the flashing look like more rust and decay. Speaking of rust, I got some rust on my blade here. Let's keep an eye on that. Don't want to cut myself. Alright, so we got this. And let's trim the flashing off of here. There. Now it's time for the glue. I'm using Tester's liquid cement for plastic. This is pretty neat. It actually melts the plastic and fuses it together, so it's kind of like welding. This can get a little tricky, especially on smaller pieces. Just like with super glue, less is more. Too much of this stuff and it starts to seep everywhere and it starts destroying the detail. So what you're really looking for is sort of the perfect amount, like a drizzle. And I haven't used it in so long, the cap has fused to the tube, so now I have to do something unseemly to get it off. It smells really strong, but as someone who's grown up making models, putting models together, it's a good smell. I enjoy it. First model I ever put together, or one of them. I don't I don't know if it was the first. Hey Shane, I don't know if it was the first, but my dad and I put together. I don't know what the scale is. It's a pretty crazy scale. The USS Kitty Hawk aircraft carrier. That was our first one. We didn't know what we were doing. This was before the internet, right? My dad and I, we went to the store, we saw a model, and we thought, hey, that'd be sick. So we bought it, started putting it together. And putting it together was easy, but then painting it, neither of us realized when we started out how difficult it was going to be to paint and to do the transfers and the decals. So that part looked a little rough, and everything was in enamel. So you had the gray plastic aircraft carrier, and the bottom you have the red paint, which it's somewhat close to accurate, but because the paint was all in enamel, it was really shiny. But the rest of the model was dull. And then I think my dad and I got lazy and got to little planes to put on the deck, and we just basically dipped them in white paint and dabbled some black on the canopy. That's something my dad and I did a little bit. I sort of lost interest in models for a while. at least putting them together. I've never totally lost interest in models and small things. Always been interested in small things, whether it was Lego, model trains, model airplanes and cars. I've always been into making things that are small. So just a little bit there, and you stick the head in. And right now that plastic is melting, and as it cures, it's forming a weld. It's an ingenious product. It's very simple, but extremely effective. Once it fuses, once it cures, you're not getting it apart. So if you're the kind of hobbyist that likes to take things apart that you've built, I would not recommend using this. Regular super glue is better for that. All right. Doesn't take too long to cure either. It's not like super glue where it's under 10 seconds. This will take a little bit longer than that. Ah, see, and I hate this too. It starts leaking everywhere. Small bead everywhere is the key here. Everywhere where there's going to be contact between the model. There. And I'm not so worried about these seams on the shoulders, because we're going to attach pauldrons in a second, and that'll cover that. Just hold it together, apply a little bit of pressure. Help the glue along here. Second model I put together. Well, my dad and I got this big box of attack helicopters, and I thought those were really cool. But I was a little young for them. They were models, but in my head it was a toy. I think I was probably like 9 or 10, and we put together a AH-64D Apache longbow, and then Super Cobra and a Huey. We put all those together, and I thought they were so cool, but I played with them and broke them. Then after that, there was like a die-cast Ford truck, I think, that I put together. No, it was a Chevy. It was a 60. I think it was a. I don't know. I'm not a car guy. Red truck goes zoom. That's all I know about that. All right, 38 and 37 leg pieces. No choices here. It's just as simple as cut and paste. If you're an old timer in the Warhammer scene, then you'll know the old Space Marine models. They were essentially posable, and so you'd put these guys together, and you'd have to figure out how you were going to pose them and get them to stay still while the glue cured. And whenever I did that, my guys always ended up looking like they had some sort of a condition. They did not look like they were the genetic progeny of the God Emperor of mankind. They looked like the genetic rejects of the God Emperor of mankind. They looked horrible. So I appreciate this new style of sprue that Games Workshop has come out with. I don't have to worry about posing. They're already posed. You just glue them together. And I get that there's some people like, well, it takes away all the fun. I don't know. I would hate to spend 10 hours on a kit that looks like crap when I'm done. If I'm going to spend 10 hours on something, doggone, it's going to look good. Or at least decent. So, I know a lot of the old timers would probably disagree, but I think that's nostalgia talking and not skill. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Alright. And this is his left leg. Right? Yes, right there. Running out of glue. Sometimes it takes a little while. I have to convince the glue that it's safe to come out. There we go. Legs need a little extra TLC. Okay, and then this guy, he fits in right over here. There. Sometimes it can be tricky to get that angle right. Once this is a little more dry, I'll give you a look at the whip. Oh, whoops, I turned off autofocus. Look at all the detail on that. One of the great things about this type of detail, you don't have to be an expert painter to take advantage of all of the detail. So if you look at the pockmarks on the armor, that's a great example. You apply a base coat to that, and then you apply a wash and a dry brush, and that looks darn good. It looks really good. And you see all of that detail pop out on the armor plates, and it took no work. Right. Same thing with the I don't know if you get a good shot of it here. You get a little bit of the metallic, the chain link here on the tabard. It doesn't take a lot of work to make that look good. Plus, if you want to spend a fortune, and honestly, this is one of the few times when I would say it's worth a fortune. And you pick up some of this good stuff. Typhus corrosion. Assuming my pot's still, yep, my pot's still good, still liquid. You apply this liberally to a metallic surface, or something that's supposed to be metallic, and when it dries, it looks like corroded metal. It looks exactly like it. It's a great effect. So, you do something like this, and you put that on top of your paint jobs, and look, the detail level just jumps up. That's one of the great things about any of the Nurgle models, be it Age of Sigmar. What's it not focusing? Be it Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40k. If you add some of these technical paints, it's looking good. Same thing with the Nihilok Oxide. You put this on something that's supposed to be like brass or copper, and it dries looking like a patina. It looks fantastic, and it makes you look like a brilliant painter. I think I have an example of this over here on my desk, where I showed it to somebody, and they're like, "Wow, you're so good." I'm like, "Thank you," except I'm not. I just know how to take advantage of everything afforded to me. It's a little dusty, but this model is a good example of mediocre skill combined with technical paints equaling a really great finished product. Focus, there you go. See the patina on the bell? And the corrosion, you can see it a little bit, but the blood effects, I mean, it looks pretty grisly. But those technical paints, man, I'm telling you, they're worth their weight in gold. Same thing with the GW basing stuff. Like, again, really expensive, but it's super good. I was able to make this swampy, like putrefied, murky, sort of muddy thing real easy. And it looks really good. Like, I'm really sad that I haven't finished this army yet, because minimal work, I mean, it's yielding some fantastic results. Really proud of how that turned out. And my goal is eventually, I would like to have my Death Guard in a similar way. So what I was just showing you was they're models from the Age of Sigmar line from a faction called the Maggotkin of Nurgle. And the Death Guard, they also serve Nurgle, but they're from the sci-fi side, 40k. And I felt like the Maggotkin because they have melee weapons and flails, and they have all about cysts and bursting tumors and all sorts of nasty stuff. I felt like the blood, like the excessive blood and guts, was a good fit for them. Whereas I feel like the Death Guard, even though they're not, even though they still serve the same god, I feel like there's more of a precision to what they do. So the models like the Deathshroud Terminators with scythes, who are literally, I think they have an ability called reaping like hay. So, you know, those guys, I think having some of those extra blood effects makes a lot of sense. But these guys have a cleaner look. I might have one of these on my desk. No, I don't. I got another. They're somewhere. I've got a squad painted up. They're a little bit more colorful because they have so many more mutations, but it's nice. A little less grim dark, a little more grim funny dark. It's like dark sense of humor kind of deal. All right, back to the task at hand. So we've completed first step. The next step, we're attaching the back shoulder support, and he's got a little skirt in the back, and that's numbered 39. Oh, that's nice. It's all on the same sprue, it looks like. It looks like I don't have to be too careful here. Sometimes these supports from the mold process are attached to pretty flimsy plastic, and you got to be careful when you're trimming or clipping. There. Yes, even the fabric is decaying and fraying and falling apart. There. See, it goes right here. There's a point of contact on the armor here, and that's it. So what we will do is we'll put a bead of glue once we coax it to come out. Once we coax it to come out a little bit here. It's okay, glue. Come in out. You can do it. Any minute now. There. So that was a little too much. But it's in a spot that it'll remain hidden. Now this, we're going to want to put a little pressure to let it set. That point of contact is pretty narrow. Man, it's been a while since I've built Warhammer. How long? A while. Because I was doing some hobby stuff in the last year, but it was mostly BattleTech. Because I was not in the mood for Warhammer and their shenanigans. In BattleTech, you don't build anything. Like this guy that I've been working on for too long. He came out of the box like that, and I added the paints myself. So, I'll be honest with you, I didn't care for that experience as much as I like building. There's something about the building that just, I don't know, gets you more acquainted with your projects, I think. Gets you invested earlier in the process. So even if you put a piece of gray plastic on the table, you feel like you've accomplished something. You feel like you've done something to merit putting it on the table even. Whereas with BattleTech, You just put the gray plastic on, and everybody does, right? But I don't know. It just doesn't feel as personal. Okay, so the next piece. 41. There's the pauldrons. This looks like a pretty special piece. So the Terminators in the lore, they are space marines who are really good at their job. Their job is suffer not the unclean to live. That's Black Templars. Killing all the aliens, killing all the traitors, killing all the Xenos. And if you're really good at it, you get promoted to Terminator. And the Terminators, they wear a very advanced suit of armor. And one of the key tropes of Warhammer 40,000 is that humanity has this high technology, but there was a point called I think it was in the Age of Darkness when robots rose up against their human overlords and tried to destroy humanity. Clearly, they took that right out of Terminator. But at that point, they grew extremely distrustful of technology, and so they destroyed it. And as a result of a lot of their destruction of technology, they've lost the means and the understanding of how things work. So that's often just a little bit of superstition. Like, if we rub the computer this way, it works. If we use the sacred oil on the machine, the wheels will keep moving. So it's very much superstition driven and not scientifically driven at all. I think it's kind of a delightful aspect of the lore. And so that goes for the Terminator armor. They don't know how it works. They don't know how to produce it. So like each set of armor is a relic. And amongst the Terminator armor, some is more relic than others. The armor that these Terminators are wearing, the ones that I'm building, it's called Cataphractii armor. And it's old. Real old. Anyone who still wears it is either real old, or their chapter, or their legion, in the case of the Chaos Warriors, their legion or their chapter has access to it, and it's sort of a symbol of honor. But most of the people who wear it are like ancient people who've been fighting for thousands of years. And yes, in this universe, the Space Marines can live that long. Because they have their transhuman physiology, as it says in the Codex. The Emperor has engineered them to essentially live forever. Yeah, see, now it's really coming together. Starting to get an idea for what the finished product is going to be already. Man, that's a great model. Look at that. Level of detail that they were able to achieve. So impressive to me. Okay, so the next step is the scythe. So that's number 48. But then it doesn't have anything for his arm. Is that coming along later? Why would it come along later? Why don't we just do it now? And why aren't we attaching it to its base? So many questions. And speaking of questions, a frequent question I get from people who are looking to start in the hobby, be it in Warhammer or Battletech, or even Dungeons and Dragons miniatures for that. A lot of people wonder what kind of equipment, what kind of tools they should get. And if you're hey, Q-Tips, that's a good idea, Q-Tips. This is way more important than homework. I recommend this especially if you're a Warhammer hobbyist. This blade came as part of a Gundam set. So if you're familiar with Gundam, it's a Japanese mecha anime, and there's hobbyists who like to assemble those models. Very expensive, very detailed, very expensive models. This is what I'm talking about. I'll hold it up to this camera. I got that for like $10. And inside it's got a knife, it's got clippers, it's got screwdrivers, taps, it's got all sorts of files. It's a great deal. I couldn't even buy this knife from Games Workshop for $10. This knife would be like $20 from Games Workshop at least. The clippers are $30 clippers. I got all of this for $10. And guess what? It's lower quality, yeah, but it breaks. Guess what? I just put down $10, get another kit. Like this is what you gotta do. So Q-tips, what mini am I making? Well, right now I'm working on a squad of 3 Deathshroud Terminators. They are the personal bodyguard of Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard. That's what they'll look like when they're painted. I mean, mine won't be as nice, but they'll be in that ballpark, that general world. So yeah, if you're going to get into modeling, get the cheap stuff, because the cheap stuff honestly works just as good. I've never heard of anyone, and I've met a lot of hobbyists in my day. I've never heard anyone say, you know what works best? This super expensive thing. Usually the super expensive thing works just as good as the mid-range thing. It may have a quality difference just in terms of like its longevity. I think maybe the exception to that, Citadel puts out these painting handles, and this is really nice. I haven't seen anything like it. Like, you put the model, you clip it into here, and it's adjustable, spring-loaded, and then you can just hold the model while you paint it. And this is really nifty. Like, this is an exception to what I just said, but what play are you going to this week, Friday and the weekends? I'm going to Saturday morning. Okay, let's get this guy attached. And it looks like he's going right here. Now that's a really small point of contact. Just coax the glue out. Come on out, glue. Alright. Nice thing about these smaller squads is it's a lot faster to paint. So when I do actually paint these models, it'll go quickly. I've got a massive model for this faction that I have zero motivation to paint. Getting it done would be nice, but the process of getting it done, not so nice. Yep, okay. So now that's done. I'm confused why they don't have me finish the arm. Oh, I see, okay. So if I wanted to build the Deathshroud Champion, which I did, then I start with 1. And then I would continue with 2 after that assembly. So I moved to 3. So I got parts 43 and 42. And I have a choice for here. That's interesting. Okay, well, let's focus on 43 and 40. This looks like a destroyer hive. So the Death Guard, they like disease. They also like bugs to spread disease. And the destroyer hive is how they spread disease. Bugs like to live in it. The ultimate destroyer hive is on the back of Typhus. He's sort of like the first mate of the Death Guard. I'm not sure what you call him. Is he captain? Captain of the Harbingers of Nurgle? Something like that? He was the betrayer par excellence in the Death Guard. No Q-tips. Hey, I have an idea, Q-tips. How about you just do both? This is a real chill stream. You can just have me on, listen to me while you're finishing up your assignment. Alright, so that's all set. Now, how does this go on here? Is it just as simple as this? Yes. Oh man, that fits nice. It's a good feeling. Yeah, Luke, you just do the same thing. You listen to the soothing baritone tune of my voice as I talk about nerdy things and assemble these overpriced pieces of plastic. And while you're listening to that, just get some work done, man. That's what I do. If I got to get through a pile of grading, or when I was in grad school, if I had to get through a paper, I'd figure out, what do I want to listen to while I do this, and I just do it. And this, you don't have to tune in. You can just kind of hear my voice in the background. It's kind of like ASMR. That's what I'll do. I'll start a weekly show. Hobby ASMR. I don't even know. Yeah, okay, I got it in the right spot. This is one of the proverbial spiky bits that you hear so much about with Chaos. Start an ASMR stream. This is an ASMR stream. What are you talking about? There we go. That should stay. Alright, now it wants me to attach, looks like a storm bolter. Alright. Hopefully this is... I found like the hands and the arms to be the worst. Always the most challenging to get to stay. Now where's his hand though? Is it just... What is going on? Oh, that's not his hand, that's just his forearm, that's why. I was a little confused there. Glue? Just a little bit. Just a pinch. There. That went in easy. Pleasantly surprised by that. Alright, I should cure. Now it gives me a choice. Back on the arm with the scythe. I can give him a Plagueburst Gauntlet, or I can give him sort of that wrist pad. And to my knowledge, the Plagueburst Gauntlets are like 1 point each when you're playing the game. So you'd kind of be an idiot not to model it with the Plagueburst Gauntlet. But it's kind of important to like have a Plagueburst Gauntlet on your sprue, and I don't see one. So it's numbered 46. It might not be on here. Let's check another one. It's not there. There it is. Is that the only one though? I feel like... Didn't they... I thought you could have one on each model in a unit. Oh well. We'll use this anyway. And then, what else did it want here? 51 and 50. That's sort of the miasma and the flies coming out of the destroyer hive. I'm going to attach that one before I lose track of where it goes. That's 50, and that goes off the back here. Okay. A real small dab will do you here. Is there an angle? No, I think that's the angle. Alright, and then the Plagueburst Gauntlet. I will just attach that while I'm at it. while I'm in the neighborhood. There's that. And last, for this step anyway, 51. Is that on here? That's not on here either. So that must be where the gauntlet was too. Yep, right here. Mommy Peters yelling at Luke. Alright, these are a little trickier to clean just because of the angle, but again, I think, especially because it's supposed to be like chaotic smoke, miasma, flies kind of thing, you can get away with a little leftover. And this goes this way. There. It's coming together. Just one more piece, and then we can attach it on a base, and he is built. 1/3 of the kit done. And I'm going a little slower because I'm talking and showing you guys stuff, but you could do this much faster than I am. But honestly, what's the point if you're going to go fast? It's about enjoying it. I remember when I first started in the hobby. This was 2016. And I saw a bunch of videos on YouTube of people playing it, and I thought, that's amazing. This game looks incredible. It was really the models. Like, the game was something, but I saw like this big battle. They had like 300 models each, and they had this beautiful handmade terrain with a river, and it looked real. And I was hooked. Okay. And of course, everything they had was painted. This was for their YouTube channel. They're getting paid to do this. They had AdSense revenue coming in, so like, you know, they probably paid somebody to have it painted. But I didn't realize that. I thought everybody painted it. So I remember I bought a bunch of models. I bought the books, memorized the rules, and I was like, I'm going to sign up for a tournament at my local game store. So I did. And I thought, oh, okay, I've got a deadline. I got to get all this painted by then. So I started painting it, and it looked horrible. So I had to go back and fix it over and over again. Finally, I was just pooping my pants because I'm like, these guys are going to hate me. They're going to kick me out. They're going to think, oh, this guy's a loser. And so I quickly put on 3 different colors of paint just to sort of satisfy the technical requirement, which was 3 color variety for your paint scheme. And I show up to the tournament, and I'm like, ugh, people are going to laugh at me. I was like one of the only people who had paint on their models. I remember feeling so relieved and kind of confused and a little irked. It's like, wait a second, you guys are saying there's this painting requirement. I'm the only one who did it, and I'm the new guy. But I guess joke was on me, right? Because here I am, a veteran of the hobby, not painting my models. I mean, honestly, most people I've met have not painted their models. But I would say this, the people who have, they're a different breed in a good way. Like, there's this one guy, I won't say his name, I don't know if he wants me talking about him, but guy that I've played with, probably, I spent a couple years, COVID and everything, but I played with him a lot. I made a couple narrative campaigns that he played in, and I played with him in a lot of tournaments. Great guy. He has this really cool Imperial Guard army, which is sort of like just like your common dudes, like your conscripts. They're not like glamorous. They're not like the super duper Space Marine superhuman gonna blow these aliens to Gehenna sort of guys. They're like the, hi, my name's Tom and I'm 19. Oh my gosh, what is that bug? It's gonna eat me. They're those kind of humans, okay? And he did such a great job. He's got them all painted up. He's imagined backstories. He's got names for all these guys, and we're talking there's hundreds of them, right? And he's got it all like typed up, printed out in a book. Like, that's always been something I've wanted to do, but I don't have the attention span. I really wish I did. Maybe when my kids are older and I have more time on my hands, I'll have the attention span and the willpower to see a project like that through, but I just can't. In my defense, though, I do have one army. I collect my favorite army, actually, the Tau Empire. They're sort of like, they got big battle suits, and they like to shoot things. They suck in close combat. Like, the joke is you could slap them and they die. I've got almost 2,000 points painted for Tau, and they look good. But I collect Tau, I collect Black Templars, I collect Death Guard, I collect Eldar. I used to collect Grey Knights and Custodes, and for a hot second I collected Imperial Fists, and I had a huge Necron collection at one point. Like, that's my fault. Like, you shouldn't get into 8 armies if you're going to play this game. But then I play Age of Sigmar, and that's Stormcast, Magakin, Soulblight. Yeah. There's too much. If I had just said, I'm going to paint what I have and then move on, I think I'd be a happier hobbyist. So if you're thinking about getting into it, and you come into money like I had when I started in the hobby, exercise the discipline of saying, I'm going to paint what I have before I buy a new thing. You won't regret it. I had the same conversation with some other veteran hobbyists when I started. And they're like, "Oh, you're buying another army already, but you haven't painted this one." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, I mean, I want to get while the getting's good." And they were trying to convince me that I wouldn't regret being more patient. And I didn't listen. And here I am, sitting on probably $800 of unpainted stuff, maybe more. No, it's more. Who am I kidding? It's way more. This could be $2,000 or $3,000 of stuff that I've accumulated over the years that I haven't painted. And what are the chances it gets painted now? Very slim. It's very slim that it'll get painted now. In the next 30 years, maybe, but I gotta stop buying stuff. Although I guess the only stuff I buy now is BattleTech. That's a lot cheaper, but still. So what I'm doing right now is I'm gluing him to his base. This part can sometimes be a little hairy. If it's not fusing well, and there's not good solid points of contact, and the model isn't well balanced, you could be sitting there for a while just trying to make sure things go fine. But these models have nice large points of contact on the base of their feet, and they're very well balanced. They're upright, bipedal. And here we go. Complete. Deathshroud Champion. It's a great model. I'm satisfied. Are you satisfied? I hope so. This has been Slow Jazz Warhammer Modeling with Mr. Hoover. I like it. This is a vibe. Alright, so I'll set him off to the side. And I think I'll do another. I'm enjoying myself. I think I'm going to take a little sipsies break here. I busted a tooth and the nerve is exposed. So every time I drink something, if it's cold, that's not feeling good. Okay. So Deathshroud Terminator 2. This guy looks a little chonky. Same deal as last time. I don't think we're going to need any of the any of the parts on this sprue. I'm not going to toss it just yet. I'm just going to move it to the side here. Good job, Q-Teeps. Okay. So, looking for number 4. Oh, sorry, number 1. And I got to choose head options again. So here's number 1. It's kind of the boring part. It's the base of the model. It's the thing that everything gets. What do you think about the sunrise thing? I think the sunrise is nice. I know a lot of people are like, it's not funny. It's not funny. I mean, the funny is nice, but like, it's nice to actually. I'm thinking about from your guys' perspective. It's nice to actually practice some of these skills for serious, because they're a lot more handy than it used to be. Even it's one thing to make something funny, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, I think that's fine. But now that you guys are doing a more serious thing, and like the interviews are really nice. It's just like a nice change of pace, and it gives you guys really good practice at editing, how to craft an interview, how to plan a production, how to coordinate all of these things. I think it's better that it's serious. I think it has some longevity when it's serious. I think if it was funny, people were starting to lose patience with it, at least on the faculty side of things. Plus, it's not as disruptive as it was when it was all about humor. So, I approve. There. Yeah, this guy looks pretty much identical at this stage as the last guy did. Not much to see yet, but there will be. Now you need to choose a head. So head option 2 or head option 3. Head option 2, he's just like another face mask. Let's see right here. Another face mask with a hood and a horn. There's nothing. It's not bad, but I think I'm partial to this guy. Instead of a face mask, he just has like a veil of chains. See if I can get a better. There. He's got like that veil of chains, and then he's got the hood, and then this tentacle coming out from under the hood. I'm all about that. That one, we're gonna go with that one. It's got more character, I think. And then it wants chest piece number 4, which is right here. This is a nice one. This one will be an easier one to paint. It doesn't have the mouth on it. It's just like the armor plating. Okay, here we go. Trim off this piece of flashing here. And here. There. Alright, let's get this glued together. Come on, glue. There we go. That is the nice thing about GW's plastic cement, is it has a brush applicator. It's a lot easier to use. It's more, I don't know if I'd say easier, it's more responsive. Alright, see you, Q-tips. I'm gonna go too, I think. I've got like 3 videos that I'm sitting on that I want to edit and get on an upload schedule. And this is a good spot to leave it, because this needs to cure for a minute. So, here he is. Ah! Dropped him. There we go. Can't hardly see his face, but that's kind of the aesthetic. I like it. Let's It's a good start. Got a lot of work done today, boys. So I'm going to call it here. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you like the stream, make sure you hit like. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications so you know when I'm doing this stuff. And I plan on uploading another video. Probably won't get to it tonight. One tomorrow. And then maybe one the day after that. Maybe 2 or 3, though. So I've got a couple other ideas I'm pretty excited about. So make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when I drop those. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.